You know, I was at the White House 2 days ago. I was asked about the Cairo speech. I was totally honest. I said, you guys in America have to listen to your friends everywhere in the world. Don't listen to those who give you the advice that you, or the opinion that you like to hear. Listen to the things that you don't like to hear, so you correct them. The Cairo speech, for example, had a promise to resolve the Palestine-Israel question. Now you know whether this has been resolved or not. But there's other pieces to the Cairo speech that need to be taken care of. For example, Obama talked about establishing a science fund. Obama talked about more initiatives to include women in the third world, talked about youth initiatives. These are the kind of things that can help you brew in democracy, good governance, and better role for women and youth.
Okay, thank you. That's the whole raft of insights across a wide range of regions. Can I bring in the audience at this point and ask our guys with the microphones to come around? Please put your hand up and state your name and organization. There's a hand up at the back of the room here. Can we start here?
Much appreciate it. Yeah, I have a question actually for Abdul Karim. If you were in the room right now with President Obama talking about drone attacks, what would you tell him, especially the past couple drone attacks in Yemen? What would you tell him about the strategic benefits versus the losses in the views of the United States of your average Yemeni citizen? Thank you.
Okay, can we take another question as well? Any other hands up? Okay, well, we'll start with that one then.
Thank you very much. I think the drone attacks have, to some extent, brought more, let's say, sympathy to Al-Qaeda in Yemen, honestly. They are probably essential, but Al-Qaeda has benefited from the drone attacks. I'm not saying they should not be used, but I think the coordination and intelligence must be much better. The fiasco of 2 weeks ago is the best example. Drone killed the deputy governor of the governorate of Marib just by mistake. And yet Al-Qaeda benefited even from that one. So I'm afraid that drone attacks do bring some benefits to Al-Qaeda, but at certain times they must be done.
There's a story behind drone attacks as well, and a shift in policy, which is that we're in the midst of an economic crisis. America's engaged in two wars, one of which is at the moment causing a lot of pain and anguish. If you are an American responsible for homeland security, why should you really care about good governance? Why should you care about all these issues? Your first concern, surely, is to protect your own homeland, protect your own civilian population. And there was a time, perhaps 5-10 years ago, where you could extend a raft of soft power policies with good governance, but that is less viable at the moment. Can I put that to Robert Rothberg? Isn't there a kind of a simple bottom line here, which is that America doesn't have to be responsible for African governance?
Quite the reverse. U.S. security depends on the security of the rest of the world, particularly in the poorest parts of the world. Even cholera in Zimbabwe or measles in Nigeria affects us in ways which we cannot fully follow. So that I would say no. It's critical for U.S. security to make the rest of the world secure, and that means not through drones necessarily, but through helping the world's least well endowed to improve the lot of the worst in those countries.
So would you criticize the drone attacks from that perspective?
Drone attacks are useful in certain areas and for surgical purposes, as in Yemen, as in Somalia, but they do have adverse effects because they do radicalize local populations. So what we have to do is find a way to use the drones particularly in Somalia and Africa, very, very sparingly.
Okay, thank you. Can we open up more questions? I think there's more hands. A gentleman here and a lady here on this side. The microphone's coming. We'll take these two questions together.
Arik Ruglansky, Start Center, University of Maryland. I was wondering whether the speakers could address the role of military force in the attempt to combat terrorism. All that we have said so far have emphasized an important aspect of good governance, fairness, and justice. Drone attacks are a special case of the use of military force. Would you be willing to consider the role of military force and how it is balanced with the good deeds that you were all advocating?
And the lady here.
Lucy Webster from Economists for Peace and Security. I think there's a lot of consensus that drone attacks, and I hope any kind of military action, is something that is only done at the margin, that is only done when in very rare cases. But I'm less clear on the opinion of presenters and other people here as to how you can differentiate between efforts to create good governance and services to societies that make them work and serve all the people and make all the people feel empowered and all the people feel they have dignity, between that kind of effort to dry up the swamps of discontent and the kind of superficial, I don't know, building of schools that aren't used, or there was some negative comment yesterday about some of these development programs, and I'd like a clearer idea of which ones are going to work, we think are going to work, and which ones are likely to backfire. Thank you.
Okay, can I start with you, the Minister Jalali? The use of military force, there's no appetite left and there's little money left, so how do we proceed?
Well, first of all, there's no military solutions to terrorism, but you can lose militarily. If the military is used to create that space for that good governance and delivery of services and the rule of law, fine, this is a mean. I think you have to use it as a mean to create that space, not to use it to defeat the terrorism. I think it is needed, but it has to be used for a certain purpose. Now we'll come back to this question that why you should care about good governance as long as there are measures to be taken in order to secure the United States. Well, we have seen this in 1992, 1991 in Afghanistan at least. After the Soviet Union was defeated and withdrew from Afghanistan, everybody walked away, and you know what happened after that. And I think this can happen again if we are thinking that way. As Dr. Rothberg said, that the security of the United States has also depend in the globalized world on security in other parts of the world, particularly with the kind of a threat that we face today. Now with how we balance between the creation of good governance and the kind of a development project that we do today, unfortunately Afghanistan suffered from that, because in the past 9 years, many principles of development were reversed. More often the means determined ends, supplies determined demand, and tactical solution determined strategy. So therefore, I think there has to be, unless you are clear about what is needed and then supply that, then it will be always this discrepancy between the development and the kind of a project that some countries or some PRTs are doing today in Afghanistan and elsewhere.
Dr. Rothberg, I guess it's the same question, but from a different perspective. It's easy to forget because we're in these wonderful surroundings in the Waldorf Astoria, but there's no money left. So what do you prioritize in terms of aid and good governance? Is it schools, hospitals, aid agencies? What would you do if you're in the State Department with a concern for security?